Alright everyone, welcome back again to some more of the Great Ace Attorney 2. And since we completed the most recent duo of deduction team, it looks like we're closing in on the next upcoming trial. So we're going to continue on from there, guys, and see how it goes. So if anything else, let's keep at it. Alright guys, and we are back. Would you like to tell us about it, Iris? About your father? I'm sure I told you before, didn't I? That Daddy used to be Hurley's partner. Yes, and that notes about all the cases they solved together are kept inside that metal chest. That's right, Hurley told me, you see. He said that Daddy's somewhere far away now, so we can't meet. That's one way of describing it. Then, when I secretly unlocked the chest and read through the papers inside, I started to build up a picture in my head of what Daddy must be like. Well, that's only natural. You're just like any other girl of your age. I read that Daddy was a professor of medical science, so I studied and took my degree too. Well, that's only natural, I suppose. In that respect, you're not quite like any other girl of your age, though. But there was one thing that I could never find out. Daddy's name. Ah! His name wasn't... Sorry about that. His name wasn't anywhere on any of the notes that he had made about his work with Hurley. But then one day... That's what happened, is it? When you saw this autopsy report, you finally managed to work it out. Is that right, Iris? Yes. So, what's the handwriting in the report that caught her eye? When I saw the writing on that report, I could hardly believe it. I know that handwriting, I thought to myself. Because it was the same as the writing you'd seen on your father's case notes. Exactly. I was desperate to compare the two properly. I needed to see them side by side. I asked the doctor in the laboratory, but I was told I couldn't take the report away. And even worse, I was told that it was the first and last time we'd be allowed to even look at it there. So you decided to steal it? When I compared the autopsy report with the case notes I had here, there was no doubt. The handwriting was exactly the same. It was Daddy's. And the signature of the coroner of the bottom of the autopsy report read Dr. John H. Wilson. So that's how I finally found out. I learned Daddy's name at last. I see. Ever since then, I've called myself Iris Wilson. And that's also when I had the brilliant idea of writing stories all about Daddy's exciting times with Hurley. I decided there and then that I'd write the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. Oh, Iris, I had no idea the story had quite such a deep personal significance for you. I can see why the autopsy report was so important to her now. And why she was prepared to break the law to get her hands on it. I must apologize, Iris. This is really all my fault. Hurley? I made a promise, you see, that until the time was right, I'd keep the details about your father's a secret. I know, I've been very naughty. I'll take the autopsy report back to Dr. Gore and apologize, I promise. Yes, we'll go together, I think. Then let me look after it for a while until you get there. Clint's autopsy report has been entered into the court record. Oh yeah, we got it. I must go and water my herbs, I think. I'll see you all later. Poor Iris. She must be feeling awful. I know Mr. Sholmes is here for her, but still. What? How? What's the meaning of this, Mr. Sholmes? Mr. Sholmes? Oh dear me. So, you've noticed, I see. But, that would mean... What is the matter, Mr. Sato? You've turned as white as a sheet. It's this autopsy report, Mr. Naruhodo. The one from 10 years ago. The writing. Isn't Dr. Wilson's at all? Huh? What do you mean? How could you possibly know that? Because I know this writing very well. This writing... It's my father's. What? What? Professor Mikotoba's? Indeed, it's true. And now you know, my dear fellows. No! I don't know anything! What does all this mean, Mr. Sholmes? Because the idea that's slowly forming in my mind is just too extraordinary to believe. Please, you have to explain. Ow. Uh-oh. So, this autopsy report was actually penned by Professor Mikotoba then. But that makes no sense. It's not possible, surely. Not possible, my dear fellow. Pray, take a deep breath and think again. Yes, you're right. In some ways, it actually makes a great deal of sense. It does? 10 years ago is when Father returned to Japan after his extended study tour in Britain. And prior to his return, where was Dr. Mikotoba engaged? Ah, of course! He was an assistant in Dr. Wilson's laboratory learning about forensic science. And as an assistant, he would have aided with the dissection work, making detailed notes, which would be assembled into the full autopsy report. Once the work was complete, the head coroner would check the contents and put his signature on the document. In other words, the only writing of Dr. Wilson's in the report would be his signature at the end. I see. So Iris got the wrong end of the stick, you mean? She saw that and assumed the whole report had been written by Dr. John H. Wilson. Which is very understandable, of course. What a complicated situation. Thinking about it, most of what we know about you, Mr. Sholmes, comes from the published stories of your exploits. Yes, The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes, written by Iris. And we finally have no way of knowing. Oh, sorry, and we really have no way of knowing what's fact and what's fiction. Most troubling for you, my dear fellow, I'm sure. So what about this supposed partner of yours? Did he really exist or not? Ah, you've come straight to the point, I see. And please come straight to the answer. I believe Iris explained it in one of her installments. He was a trusted comrade and the only person I could truly have called a friend. And did this partner of yours truly make a record of all your cases? Are his notes really stored inside that metal chest? Absolutely, my dear madam. Absolutely. So, where's your partner now? We rarely meet. You see, he lives on the other side of the world. But if this autopsy report and the records of all your old cases were penned by the same hand, and if the autopsy report was written, though not signed, by your famous partner, there would be only one logical conclusion. Pray, impress me. Your partner would have to be Eugene Mikotoba. In other words, Mr. Sato's father. Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? You are coming along wonderfully. You have hit upon the method at last. You finally grasped the art of deduction. You mean to say... Allow me to introduce you to my great friend and partner, Mikotoba. Professor Mikotoba? Sholmes and Mikotoba. Does this mean that you're the real Dr. Wilson? No, my dear. I'm still my old self, Eugene Mikotoba, your father. Oh, of course. This is obviously too much for Shisato-san to take in. I must say, though, how my old friend has attained worldwide celebrity as a great mystery solver is the greatest mystery of all. I still remember the first time we met. Ah, pray remind me, when was it again, Mikotoba? 16 years ago, Sholmes. Ah, yes, quite, 16 years ago. I just arrived from Japan with Seshiro and Genshin. I was in search of lodgings close to the hospital, some comfortable rooms at a reasonable price. But rents are devilishly high in that particular area. That's right, so I decided I needed someone to share lodgings and the expense. And was fortunate enough to be introduced to Sholmes, who found himself in a similar situation. I was a callow fellow back then, a mere shadow of the great detective you see before you now. I was working at the hospital's chemical laboratory at the time, indulging my curiosities for little gain. And the situation of our cohabitation led to us pursuing cases together, you see. Hard to believe it was a mere 6 years. We had a great many adventures. But in the last year of Mikotoba's stay in Britain, the most infamous of cases presented itself. The case of which you've become rather familiar yourselves, the Professor killings. After the trial, Seshiro and I were summoned back home. Hardly surprising given the circumstances. So there you have it. And as you know, all the details recorded by my trusty chronicler remain in that metal chest. This is just amazing. Professor Mikotoba really is Mr. Sholmes' famous partner. He looks like a Watson. Father. Goodness, my dear. What a cunning look. As your daughter, I'm very proud to learn that you were the great detective's great partner. But nevertheless, there's another mystery that I really must ask you to explain now. And that is? You know very well what it is. The unresolved matter of Iris' father. Ah, of course, I'd almost forgotten about that one. I should have seen this coming, I suppose. Iris told us that all the notes about the great detective's adventures that are in the metal chest were written by her father. Isn't that correct, Mr. Sholmes? That is indeed what I told young Iris. But if you're Mr. Sholmes' partner, father, and you wrote all those case notes, then Iris' father must be you. Ah. Upon my word, Mrs. Sato. You are coming along wonderfully as well. You too have hit upon the method at last. You finally grasped the art of deduction. What you've always told me, father, is that my mother died when I was born 16 years ago, and you left me in grandmother's care whilst you embarked on your study tour of Britain. And I've always accepted that. But all this about Iris. Oh, there it is. Susato-san's ice-cold stare. No, now hold on a minute. It was very complicated. I mean, it's really not what you think. Then perhaps you'd like to explain exactly what it is. There it is. Now the eyes go from ice cold to red hot just before she... No, really, you've got the wrong end of the stick. Sholmes, say something, man. That's quite enough, my fiery fellows. Mr. Sholmes, when did you get all dressed up? Whilst I don't like to interrupt this exciting exploration of the past, Mikotoba and I have an urgent matter that requires a short excursion. But it's very late, Mr. Sholmes. Where must you go? Why, my dear madam? Is that not obvious? My partner and I must pursue our natural enemies. So, get your coat, Mikotoba. The game is afoot. But Sholmes! I really must give Susato a full explanation, I think. Later, my dear fellow, later. Our carriage awaits downstairs already. You haven't changed one iota, have you? I mean, really, I visit our home after 10 long years, and when I open that chest in a fit of nostalgia, I quite inexplicably pass out. And as if that wasn't enough, when I eventually gain consciousness, I'm plunged straight into all of this. Father, please, go with Mr. Sholmes now. What? I've no doubt that whatever happened, you were acting in everyone's best interest. I trust you completely. Susato. And sending the great detective and his great partner off on renewed adventures together was more than I could have hoped for in my wildest dreams. Very well then. We'll speak again later. So, I believe your own work is done for the day. I wish you the best of luck tomorrow. Yes, Naruhodo. Good luck in battle, and in reaching a decision. A decision? Well, whether to go back to Japan, I suppose?
So much happened that day that I barely knew what to do with myself. It would only be later that I'd come to realize how amidst the chaos I'd unleashed were all the clues I needed to finally unearth the truth, and that all the turmoil was necessary to give me the resolve to see everything through.
This should have been fully voice acted, in my opinion. Final chapter, the resolve of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Let's do this. Third of November, 9:14 a.m., the Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. So, the time's finally come. Today, we unravel everything. I'll be counting on your support more than ever today, Mrs. Sato. Mr. Sato? Ah! Really? Oh no! What's the matter, Mr. Naruhodo? Nothing. I was just saying that I'll be relying on your support today, but... I'm so sorry, of course. I know I can be rather incompetent at times, but... I shan't let you down. Would you mind helping me to my feet then? Oh dear, I'm really very sorry. Chisato-san isn't her usual self at all. But that's hardly surprising, I suppose. She's just found out that her father's the partner of a world-famous detective. Not to mention... Ah, good morning, sir. Lord Van Zieks! Thank you all for your efforts yesterday. What? Did I hear that correctly? What? Oh, no, nothing. Just, I hope we can clear things up today. I really can't make this man out. His face says, I hate you, but his words are almost jovial today. In fact, he hasn't been very Reaper-like at all since this all began yesterday. Lord Van Zieks isn't the Reaper, Mr. Naruhodo. Good point. How are you reading my mind? The Reaper. I suppose in hindsight, I shouldn't have allowed that misconception to go unchallenged. Huh? It was my tacit acceptance of that pseudonym. My failure to stop the Reaper becoming something more than a mere legend that led to all this. But you're not to blame for that, Lord Van Zieks. Ew. It's only because serious crime in the capital dropped off so sharply when the public started calling you that. That's why you didn't say anything, isn't it? To be frank, I'm not sure that was the sole reason. What do you mean? There was a rumor at the time that the Reaper was really the ghost of my late brother. That having been slain by that evil killer, Clint's restless spirit returned as some sort of demigod, to wield the deadly blade of justice where I, by dint of the law, could not. Yes, we've heard that story too. When I lost him, I felt as though I'd lost my guiding light. I didn't know where to go or what to do. And so, in some small way, I wonder if perhaps those rumors made me feel his absence a little less keenly. Even if I knew it was just an illusion, just some nonsense conjured up by an imaginative public. Ew. He was obviously extremely important to you, Lord Clint Van Zieks. Well, what's important now is uncovering the truth. That's all that matters. I know that you didn't take anyone's life, and I intend to prove that beyond a shadow of a doubt into court today. I never thought I'd say this, but I can see it in your eyes, that burning desire to cut through all the lies and deception. I can't deny it any longer. You, are a lawyer of absolute integrity. Thank you. Now tell me, why do I detect the scent of expensive tea leaves in the air? Oh, Iris, when did you get here? Oh. I brought you one of my special blends. Hurley loves it. He says it helps him to clear his head. I thank you. Oh. That's surely the first and last time I'll ever see a sight like this. You seem different today, Iris. Sort of subdued, I suppose. I am not. What happened yesterday is obviously still playing on her mind a lot. She's clearly very troubled about having stolen that autopsy report from Dr. Sid's laboratory. Alright then. Good luck to you both. I have to make a move now. Oh, you're not staying? I thought you'd want to watch today's proceedings. Well, I'd like to cheer you on, obviously. But I've got lots to get ready. Get ready? For what? Oh yes. Would you take this? Isn't that one of the little felt dolls that's usually dangling from your knapsack? Yes, it's a lucky charm. A little Hurley that I made once. Hurley. It's more like a Hairly to me. If for some reason you completely run off options in the trial today, then just pull this little Hurley's ears as hard as you possibly can. What? Pull his ears? That's right. It's a way to bring good luck. I think you might need it. Never hurts. You think we'll need his luck? I just need to peek inside the courtroom. And it seemed very different to normal. Yes, it would seem that a certain someone has decided to pull out all the stops. What does that mean? What about Mr. Sholmes, Iris? I don't know. He was out of all night and he hadn't come home by the time I left this morning. Oh, I see. Was Professor Mikotoba out all night too, do you think, Mr. Sato? Yes, it would seem so. I telegrammed the hotel this morning. And apparently they didn't come back to their rooms last night at all. They? Father and Judge Jugoku, I mean. Judge Jugoku too? That's right. Nobody appears to have seen either of them since yesterday. Counsel for the defense and defendant. Court is about to be in session. Please make your way inside the courtroom at once. Good luck then, Runo. Good luck, Susie. Yes, thanks, Iris. And you, Mr. Reaper. I hope it goes well. Once again, I thank you for the delicious tea. It was very soothing. Oh, I'm so glad. We must go inside now, Lord Van Zieks. Lord Van Zieks has always been the formidable prosecutor I've had locked horns with in the court. But not today. Today I battle with another in pursuit of the truth. My best friend Kazuma Asogi, who I trust more than anyone else in the world. Now I understand what it was that drew me here to Britain all those months ago. Now I know exactly what destiny had in store for me. Alright guys, I'm going to end the video here for today. Thank you all for watching. When we come back, we'll finally be hitting the trial again. So if anything else, thank you all. Until the next one.